Can you describe Mr. Hordyke in one word?
Ever present.
Gentle.
Yeah, cool.
Friendly. Caring.
Caring? Thank you for your time.
Nice.
Understand.
Interesting. Generous.
Boss. God.
Is there any peer pressure for drugs and alcohol in our school?
Well, yeah. I think that's probably drinking has always been true. And I think at Hopewell, drinking is more of a problem than drugs. Not saying that our school or any other school doesn't have to deal with drugs. But we've got a couple of people in place and a couple of programs in place that have been very helpful. Drinking, I think, is our biggest problem, and there's a lot of peer pressure on that. Although kids are kind of funny on that. I know if you don't want to drink, you're not forced to drink. It's a very subtle kind of a pressure. But I think there is quite a bit of subtle and not so subtle peer pressure to drink at parties, and that's been a concern. We've had too much drinking, and I've always been kind of half waiting for that shoe to fall, that something would have happened that would have been terrible. Thank God, as far as this point, no one's been hurt terribly.
When did you start to work here?
Well, I started on July 1st, 1980, which was a fair piece back. And at that time, let's see, I was about 49 years old.
All right.
Well, I think he's been a fine principal, and we'll miss him. And I'd like to wish him the best retirement in the world, and I envy him.
I've enjoyed working with Mr. Hordyke for the last 11 years. It's been a pleasure to work with him. He's been very active in the athletic program and working with the physical education teachers during his tenure here at Hopewell Valley. It's been a pleasure. I'll be sorry to see him leave, and I wish he and his wife much success and health in their retirement.
Thank you. Could you impersonate him for us?
Mr. Timko, can you do me a favor and step outside of my outer office, please?
All right, Ron Taylor.
Yeah, Hordyke's #1. He was a great principal, and he's going to be dearly missed here at this school.
Wow, thanks a lot. What about you, Tim?
He was a very nice principal. Everybody's going to miss him.
Please, can we have your opinion on Mr. Hordyke?
No way!
I mean, come on, please.
Who's Mr. Hordyke?
We're here with Lisa, and she's going to tell us her thoughts about Mr. Hordyke's retirement. Could you please Someone. Shut the microphone in her nose. There you go. Just tell me. Come on. You're wild.
Go away.
Jeez.
What was your best and worst experience?
I couldn't pick a best. There's been so many. There's been a lot of high points. I guess the worst experience was probably watching kids drop out. That's always bothered me. When I was in high school, I came close myself because I was not happy in the first high school I went to, and it always has bothered me. So I guess that's the worst experience.
This is Mr. Dave Hordyke speaking for the Hopewell Valley Rabid Raccoon findings.
It is reported that there's a rabid raccoon amongst our midst, and the environmental securities are coming over. Oh, I just got nipped right in the ankle. Oh, God. Hey, little fella, how are you? Hi. He's a cute guy, but it really hurt. I'm growing disoriented now. I have rabies. Everyone knows that. It's a really tough incident here.
Somebody's got to shoot it.
Jeff, come in here. He's wrestling with that baby. Whoa, hey. Feisty little guy. All righty. Tough guy, but we'll pull through it here in the valley. Right here in the valley. Oh, yeah. What do you think of Mr. Hordyke?
I think he should part his hair differently.
Can you tell us what you've learned from Mr. Hordyke?
Is Mr. Hordyke the principal? I keep forgetting which one is it.
Personally, I don't know who Mr. Hordyke is, but can anyone here know who Mr. Hordyke is? No, I always want to do one of these Arsenio Hall things. No.
What do you think of Mr. Hordyke?
I think Mr. Hordyke has been a very fine principal. He came about a year later than I did, which is about 13 years ago. And I've known him for that long. He's always been very helpful to me. And I think he has the interests of all the students here very much at heart.
So you'll be sad to see him go?
Yes, I will. I think he's been a very good influence for our school. But I think we'll get another good principal in his place.
All right, thank you.
Being a sophomore at Hopewell, I don't think I've really experienced the complete Hordyke experience. And being that he's leaving this year, I'm, kind of feel that I'm missing out on the Hopewell Hordyke experience. Thank you.
What do I think of good old Hordyke? Well, he's compassionate, he's well-giving, he's splendidly handsome. I'm really gonna miss the guy. Cut, I can't take it. I said cut, fool.
Would you like to say anything to your students?
And that is always take a little trouble now to avoid a lot of trouble later on. Don't cover things up, handle things as they come up, get them done, handled, settled, and your life and everyone else's life is far better. And that stood me in good stead. And I guess that's the closest thing.
He's standing right behind me, so I'll have to, is he gone yet? Okay. I was born on a farm in Illinois a very long time ago.
Sort of an Abraham Lincoln-esque person.
Mr. Hordyke is by far the best high school principal I've ever had.
Unsolicited.
He's the only high school principal I've ever had. And we will sorely miss him. We just hope that someday they will find a replacement that can fill his shoes. And then after I was born in Illinois.
Hi! This is Beth Stiers. Beth, how do you feel about Mr. Hordyke leaving? How do I feel about it? Yeah. I've never really talked to him before, except for when he took my lunchbox away.
He's a nice guy, and people like him and like to do business and work for him.
He seems pretty nice. I don't really know him that well since I'm a freshman, but he seems nice, and he seems like he cares about the school and the students that are in it.
Thank you for being such a really good principal, Mr. Hordyke, and good luck to whatever you do.
Mr. Hordyke, first he was a pretty tough guy, but through the years now, 9th year, he's become mellow, more easygoing, probably going to retire, enjoy it. So, that's my opinion. He was real tough when I first got here, but he was just doing his job. And now he's a pussycat.
I like Mr. Hordyke a real lot. He's really nice, and I'm going to miss him.
All right. What do you think of Mr. Hordyke?
He's a very nice person and a good principal.
In your years here, have you thought of anything that he's done very well or a great accomplishment that he's had?
For one thing, he was good to the students, good for the education system. And he was always with the students and the parents, even after school with the parents forum. And he did a lot. He was the longest principal that was here. In the 25 years that I worked here, he was the longest principal that he worked here. And he, just did his job.